Hello, welcome to InSight. I'm Wendy Brokaw. The city of Salem is home to 17 neighborhood associations, and if you are a resident or business, you are a member of one and can get involved. But Salem is also home to family neighborhood councils run by a nonprofit called CBEL. That stands for Community Business and Education Leaders. Well, who are they? And what are they doing to meet their goal to help neighborhoods thrive? Would you please welcome my guests, Eduardo Angulo and Maribel Mora-Martinez. Eduardo is the FNC director, and Maribel is both the chair of the Washington NFC as well as the lead neighborhood connector for all 5 CBEL neighborhoods. Welcome. So nice to see you. Thank you for being my guest today on InSight.
Yes.
You had an interesting morning today. You had a speaker, Amelia Frank Meyer. She's internationally known speaker at one of your CBEL collective gatherings this morning. How did that go? You had some neighborhood volunteers there.
It was extremely special to have her back, because she was actually who was the keynote speaker 6 years ago. She came to talk about a radical redesigning of how agencies, how governments work with communities. And her idea was around the welfare system, in the importance of family staying together, even though they might be dysfunctional, but better than families taking apart. That it is what the welfare system does. And she is a big proponent of the neighborhood family councils. And one of the things that happened in the creation of the neighborhood family councils was that at that gathering 6 years ago, the leadership of the town of Salem and the town of Keizer, they made a commitment to get away from the old paradigm of the civic leaders and I don't know, you could say religious leaders and also our government leaders, that it was about, we know what you need as a poor family, as a low-income family, as a Latino family that needed English as second language, to a paradigm in where we want to hear from you. We want to hear, what is it that you think that you need to get your kids to thrive in school, to do well academically, to do well social, emotionally, being able to afford an apartment, to be able to have social services, instead of we telling you what you need and that we have it and you can access it, but never asking you, what do you want?
Maribel, you were one of the first active members of a neighborhood family council. Tell us about your experience and what Eduardo just told you.
Yes, I'm with the Kennedy Neighborhood Council, and that was actually formed a few years ago. And I had already been involved in the school with like Jogathon, the book fair, and stuff like that. And so when I heard that the Neighborhood Family Councils was going to come to Kennedy, I saw this project as something big. You know, it wasn't just going to be for our school, but it was going to be for the Salem-Keizer school. And so that is what gave me the to want to belong to this formation of the group.
Can you tell us, when was the first neighborhood council formed? What year?
in 2019, when they made that commitment, they put forward a model that was created by a professor, director of a graduate program at Washington University in Washington, D.C. And this was the concept of the neighborhood family councils. And so those leaders, they had created a executive council that were like 20 community leaders and non-profit leaders and government leaders and education leaders all together, and they say we want to create a pilot. And they said we think that we need to have Eduardo Angulo. My wife and Olivia and I are the founders of what is called the Salem-Keizer Coalition for Equality.
Oh, yes.
We founded the Salem-Keizer Coalition for Equality with the help of like 25 community leaders. White elders, retirees, the NAACP or Salem-Keizer, PECUN, the Farm Workers Union, back then CAUSA, the Pro-Immigrant Rights Coalition of Oregon, Mano a Mano Family Center, Latinos Unidos Siempre, and there was one group called Group for Livable Salem. And they made a commitment 27 years ago that we wanted to create something based on the concept of popular education, in where we train parents to help other parents be involved in the education of their children, since they are the #1 teachers and the first teachers of the children. And so back then, the education of Latino, Black, Native American, and special ed kids was truly bad, and that included poor white kids. And so when they came to me with this idea, and they say, well, we have in your neighborhood, we have Hallman Elementary, and it's one of the schools that has a low academic achievement in writing and reading, especially, and doing math. We created the coalition under the philosophy that we want to help the school district really bring up a higher percentage of kids who were doing well in reading, writing, and doing math. And that has been our lifetime commitment between my wife and I, and all these other members of our community who helped form the Salem-Keizer Coalition for Equality. So when they came and offered that opportunity, I immediately say, of course. Of course. I didn't ask for salary, I didn't ask for anything. I said, well, that's
And
as I'm, yeah, please.
And as I'm understanding you, CBEL grew out of, in a sense, that group of people.
Correct.
Who founded the nonprofit CBEL, and why?
So before, it was a project. It was just a project, and it had only one financier, and that was Larry Totarski. He was one of the people who was part of that group of civic leaders who came together in that group of over 200 community leaders, and they formed that executive council. And it was, they had an executive director in the name of Jim Seymour. That is a figure here in Salem-Keizer and the Willamette Valley, because he had been the executive director of Catholic Community Services, the biggest nonprofit organization in the Willamette Valley. They're in 8 counties, and so Jim worked for Catholic Community Services for almost 50 years.
The first council, the first family council under this CBEL was the Hallman.
Correct. Holman Elementary,
Yes.
and the idea was that that they were going to create councils in elementary schools in the area around the area of an elementary school that is a Title I. So that means low achievement, academic achievement, and a lot of negative environments, you know, in terms of gang culture, shootings, violence, drugs, homelessness, and the Northgate neighborhood where Halman is, it was the pilot. So I took it over. And the first engagement, one person came to a parent class. One person. We organized around an idea that I had created 15 years before with bringing families to the Northgate Park under the thinking of, you know, come on and enjoy the Friday afternoon. We have the best hot dogs. The food share donated the hot dogs, and we cooked them, barbecued them, and we offer lemonade and face painting and some free books. And that was it. And so 15 years later, we brainstorm and we say, what about if we bring the nonprofits and the government agencies, local, county, and state agencies to come and bring their resources to our community instead of families having to go all around town looking for resources in different areas.
Do you think that that is one of the genius ideas that has been able to make CBEL and all these family councils, which are now growing, work?
Yes, for sure. A lot of the councils that have formed now, we have not only our own council, but we also partner with the other councils to help them when they have events. And so that is a partnership that we have together that causes a unity between us as members. So that is something that has been very lovely.
How do these councils work? They put on events. What else do they do?
Yes, so we put on events, and then when the events happen, there's also stations. So there could be like where we provide food. So we have parents and volunteers that are there helping with passing out the food that we're going to be providing, or we have other stations like at our winter events that we just had recently. We had a bracelet making station. We have a photo backdrop where the families get to take a nice picture, and then they get to choose a frame, and they also get to decorate it so they can have their family picture in a frame already, you know, ready to go home. And so we have volunteers that are helping at each of these stations.
And do you stay in touch with your families throughout the school year?
Yes, we do, because we have different events throughout the school year, and also we have our own individual meetings as well as council members. So we get together every month, and we also talk about planning and, you know, budgeting and all the amounts and stuff, the financials that we have available as well. So we get together a few times throughout the year.
You're giving your area people, people in the school area, the catchment, their voice. What are they telling you they need?
Yes, right now the attendance, you know, is something that they really want to encourage the kids to be at school. So we have actually been talking to our principals and seeing how we can partner with them, how can we help them, and so that's where the different councils, depending on the needs, you know, it can vary. They're not all the same. So as a council, they decide how they're going to enhance what the school already has going on. And it's been working out great.
And what about language barriers or cultural barriers? How are you helping families there?
So we have information in English and in Spanish, but also a lot of the members, also do understand that, or some of them are even willing to learn English. Yeah, so the class or the meeting doesn't only have to be in Spanish. They want to learn English as well. So I believe that also is great for them to want to learn.
And what are the teachers themselves of these elementary school children telling you about the success of what you're doing?
They're very happy. They're very happy, and they like the partnership that we have with them. And pretty much they want to know when the next event is happening.
Something you like to hear, isn't that?
Well, for me, this is about we work under what is called 5 protective factors. And out of those 5 protective factors, the most important is social connections, parent trainings.
Parent
Trainings,
training.
development.
Yeah.
On issues that had to do with social and emotional, cultural habits, and for us is this sense that parents are always part of the solution, and so you ask, how did we form the councils? So we go to the principal and we ask if we could do a carne asada celebration, and we can invite some parents to come to that carne asada. And in that carne asada event, we do a presentation about the councils and what is required to be part of the council. And out of that, some people come to the next meeting in where we talk about what is the council and what are the responsibilities that you had to be a member of the council. Each council can have up to 9 members, okay? And we have a chairperson, we have a vice chairperson, and a secretary as the officers, and they do receive from this donor, they do receive $13,200 for them to finance the events that they put together throughout the school year and throughout the year from January 1st to December 31st.
How do you work best with all the neighborhood associations, whether you have one of these family councils?
Let me give you an example of how we work with our neighborhood family council on Northgate, which is actually the oldest neighborhood association in Salem, in the city of Salem. We organize kind of neighbors gathering to come and have coffee and have pan dulce or pizza, and we ask them, what is it that you would like to see happening in around the park and around the neighborhood, in terms of events and all this stuff. And I invited the chair of the Northgate Neighborhood Family Council and the secretary. They're a couple, an architect, a retired architect now, and his wife is an artist. And we started doing the events and invited them to come and help us as volunteers in our events. And they started coming to our events, and all that led to 18 months ago to have this artist that is the secretary of the neighborhood association putting together a group of moms and neighbors to paint a total of 35 panel mural that is 1 block long alongside the Northgate Park with all the animals of the Northwest and individual animals and family of animals and flowers, and especially the butterflies. And it is just the most incredible thing as we work on the transformation of Northgate Park being the most dangerous park in Salem to now being one that is old. We have our playground is all full of children all the time, families coming and enjoying, feeling themselves that they belong because they are safe. That is the number one thing for moms and dads, that the feeling of being safe in order for them to bring their children to the park. And we have experienced in the last almost 5 years a complete transformation on Northgate Park from being one of the most dangerous parks in the city to being one that it is full of families, and especially during the summer we get a water fountain. We have our own water fountain, and of course they get the Fun Fridays. At the Fun Fridays events that we started, the first year, 5 years ago, we did 8 Fun Fridays from the Friday after July 4th all the way till the end of August. And every week we have a different theme, and different community organizations will bring the resources and agencies, you know, and from that we created what is called the community raffle. Over 50 gifts for the children and gift cards and bicycles, and we partner with United Way 360 program, and they bring gifts, and some of the agencies bring gifts for the kids and for the families. And so it is a place in where we get between 500 and 700 participants every Friday.
If you don't mind my saying so, that sounds they've been inspired, actually.
Correct. Yes.
What do you said this was big. You thought you had a feeling when you first became involved. This is big.
Oh yes, because it was 2 and now we're 5 councils. So and there's still more coming, you know, in the next, you know, before you know it. So it's definitely been a big project that is still growing. Yeah.
How do people get involved and learn more about your organization? Do you have ways people can just show up and say, what are you doing?
Well, they can do it through the own school, so through Kennedy or through Washington or the other councils. Also, I know that through CBEL, there's for them to be able to, there's a contact information there as well if they want to be volunteers. Mm-hmm.
What are your hopes personally? What would you love to see happen with this?
I would definitely love to see just for the kids to be able to overcome the challenges that they're going through right now. You know, seeing the progress that what we're doing is helping. It might not be a big jump, but at least, you know, those small steps, you know, for us to be able to see that progress. That is something that I look forward to.
And for the parents, it's such an intriguing idea that the parents and the families can stay together, but they also can get some training on how to be better parents. Where would you like to see that?
This moment in America have an epidemic, especially for the parents, of toxic stress. Isolation is our biggest enemy. And we know that if the parents are not well, if mom is not well, the child is not well. You know, and so we're trying to change that through our events, through our engagement, through our classes. We are working on a partnership with the 5 principals of the 5 schools, Highland, Washington, Cummings, and Kennedy in Keizer, and the Hallman in the Northgate neighborhood. And it is about what is called the Ruler Program, and it is for moms to help with the social and emotional and help their kids with self-regulating their own emotions. And this we have been working for the past few months with the principal of Cummings Elementary. This is a very famous program that was created by Yale University, and we're working with Willamette ESD. They have some trainers, very knowledgeable women who are professionals that want to help us train the parents and train the CSACs, the community involvement people in the schools, and some teachers. So in each school, there will be a troop of parents and staff members who work with the children who have hyperactivity and have problems regulating their own emotions. And we think that this is going to help us, along with the work that we've been doing with the principals on attendance incentives. We have been working in the past 5 months with the principals in supporting their own plans for attendance matter initiative of the Salem-Keizer Public Schools.
Do you think this initiative will help actually transform the parents because of the way they see that it works?
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. It's already happening.
Oh, tell us.
Yes, I know Andy, which is the principal at Cummings with the rural program, he mentioned that their school has had, I believe, a 4 to 6% improvement. So, that's just one school. So being able to see the 5 different councils implementing this along with the partnership of the principals, this is going to be, a lot of positive stuff for the community and for the families.
I appreciate the fact that it doesn't seem to involve anything like the old paradigms of punishment.
Oh, absolutely not. No punishment. We're not into any of that. For us, it's all about how can we help the kids visualize that they are part of the solution in terms of self-regulating themselves. They're part of the solution through the help of parents. Especially moms. We know, like, for instance, in the Latino community, moms are like 97% of the moms are what is called in charge of education. Well, while dad works all day long, moms are in charge of what's happening in the schools, how are their kids doing in reading, writing, and doing math. Are they at grade level, or they're 1 year behind or 2 years behind? With COVID, our whole education system has been disrupted in a negative way, in a big way. And the school districts all throughout this nation are scrambling to try to get especially kids back in the school. Many parents are finding very hard to get their kids to school, sometimes because they have work schedules that it is hard for them when they work at night, and sometimes it's the kids that are having a hard time really getting ready for school. So we're trying to change that paradigm by working with the principals and supporting the children and the parents with some incentives.
What's your website?
CBEL, CBEL, Salem.org.
Can they find ways to get in touch with you on that website?
Correct.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
And on Facebook too. We also have a Facebook page for each of the councils too.
This has been marvelous, really instructive, what you're doing and where you're going with this CBEL and the family councils, but more important than that, building that community so that it can thrive.
Yes, we're up to create, our goal is to create 21 neighborhood family councils in all the Title I low-income elementaries in Salem-Keizer.
We'll keep up with that progress. Thank you.
Thank you so
Eduardo,
much for having us.
Oh, thank you so much for being my guest today on InSight. We'll have you back.
Please do so.
And thank you for joining us today on InSight. I'm Wendy Brokaw.